Welcome to the summary of the book, The Closer's Survival Guide by Grant Cardone. Most people in sales know how to start a conversation. They can ask questions, talk about the product, even build a little rapport. But when it comes to actually closing the deal, getting the buyer to say yes, they freeze up, hesitate, or lose control of the process. And the truth is, that's where most sales are lost. Grant Cardone wrote The Closer's Survival Guide to fix that exact problem. He's clear from the start. It doesn't matter how well you present your product if you can't close. Being nice, informative, or enthusiastic isn't enough. If you don't have the confidence, the skill, and the language to close the deal, you're not a salesperson. You're just a tour guide. This book isn't about theory. It's a field manual for one thing: getting the sale. Grant believes closing is a skill, not a talent. That means anyone can learn it, practice it, and get great at it, if they're willing to drop the fear and take control of the conversation. And fear is the real issue. Most people are scared to push at the end of a sale. They don't want to sound aggressive. They don't want to be rejected. They don't want to be too much. But Grant says this fear is exactly what separates top closers from average reps. Top closers don't fear rejection, they expect it. And they're ready for it with the right mindset, words, and responses. The first thing Grant makes clear is that the close isn't some separate part of the sales process. The close is the goal of the entire process. Every word you say, every move you make, every question you ask, it all leads to one thing: a decision. If you don't close, it doesn't matter how great the demo was or how much the customer liked you. If they walk away without buying, you lost. That's why the best closers are always prepared. They're not hoping the customer just says yes. They're guiding them to yes. They know that objections are not problems. They're part of the game. Most buyers will say things like, "I need to think about it," or "I'll talk to my spouse," or "It's too expensive." A weak salesperson gets discouraged. A strong closer gets focused. Because objections are not rejections, they're invitations to keep going. One of Grant's core beliefs is this: there is no such thing as a no sale. Either you close the customer or the customer closes you. That means if you don't close them, they've closed you on their idea, usually an excuse or a delay. The real pros don't let that happen. They don't back off. They lean in. Respectfully, confidently, and with a toolbox of tested, powerful closes ready to go. And this book is packed with those closes, over 100 of them. But more important than memorizing lines is understanding the mindset behind them. Great closers are clear, calm, and confident. They don't argue. They don't chase. They guide. They listen closely. They know when to pause. They know when to ask a bold question. And most importantly, they know that the close doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of intention and control. If you're in sales or any role where persuasion matters, this book is not optional. It's survival. Because the world rewards closers. The people who ask for the business. The people who know how to handle hesitation. The people who walk into the deal expecting to win. Let me know when you're ready for part 2, where we'll get into the psychology of objections and how top closers use them to their advantage. One of the biggest myths in sales is that objections mean something went wrong. People assume if a customer says, "I need to think about it," the pitch must have failed. But Grant Cardone wants you to throw that idea out the window. Objections don't mean failure. They mean you're getting close to the decision. They're a natural, expected part of the close. In fact, he says if you're not getting objections, you're probably not even in a real closing situation. You're either talking to the wrong person or you're playing it too safe and not asking for the business. Objections are a signal that the customer is actually considering the deal, and that's a good thing. The problem is, most salespeople freeze when they hear pushback. They take the objection personally. They back off or try to explain too much. But closers don't get rattled. They expect objections. They prepare for them. And they treat them like a door that just needs the right key. The biggest reason people don't close is because they stop at the first sign of resistance. They hear, "I'm not ready" or "I need more time," and they politely thank the customer and walk away. But a closer knows that's when the real conversation starts. That's when you lean in, not aggressively, but with confidence and calm. You don't push. You guide. You listen. And then you deliver the right close for the situation. Grant says the only difference between a weak salesperson and a closer is what they do when objections show up. Weak reps get emotional. Closers stay strategic. They know that what the customer says isn't always what they mean. For example, "I can't afford it" might really mean, "I don't see the value yet." "I need to talk to my partner" could mean, "I'm not fully convinced." A closer doesn't argue. They dig deeper. They ask the right follow-up question. They stay calm and in control. Grant also teaches that objections are not a cue to get more logical, they're a cue to get more committed. The close is not about facts and figures at this point. It's about certainty, clarity, and confidence. If the customer senses even a small amount of doubt in you, they'll mirror it. That's why top closers speak with authority, even when handling hesitation. And don't forget, customers often test you during the close. They want to see how much you believe in your product, your company, or yourself. If you hesitate, you fail the test. But if you respond with certainty, if you keep moving forward, and if you stay focused on helping them make a decision, that's when the magic happens. Another key point from the book is this: the close starts before the pitch even ends. Grant explains that great closers don't wait until the end of the conversation to prepare for objections. They set the tone from the beginning. They control the flow of the meeting. They lead the process confidently. And by the time they ask for the close, the customer already feels guided and safe. It's not about being slick or using pressure tactics. It's about showing the buyer that you're a professional who can help them make a good decision, even if they're unsure. That's real leadership, and that's what top closers do. You'll also learn in the book that most people don't buy because of the price, they buy because of uncertainty. So when you close, your job is to eliminate doubt. Help them see clearly. Help them feel confident. Show them that moving forward is better than staying stuck. And the more objections you hear, the better you get. Grant even says, get excited when someone pushes back. It means they're engaged. It means they're thinking. And it means you have a real shot at closing if you handle it right. Let me know when you're ready for part 3, where we'll explore the types of closes Grant uses, how to pick the right one, and what separates a closer's communication style from everyone else. If you've ever lost a sale at the very end after you've answered all the questions, handled all the objections, and done everything right, it's probably because you didn't use the right close at the right moment. This is where the Closer's Survival Guide delivers some of its most practical value, the exact closes top professionals use when it really matters. Grant Cardone includes over 100 closes in the book, not because you need to memorize all of them, but because different situations call for different approaches, and the best closers are ready for anything. Think of it like this: if you're a professional, you don't bring just one tool to the job. You bring a whole toolbox. Some customers are price sensitive. Some are indecisive. Some are in a hurry. Some are stalling. A one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work in the real world. That's why you need multiple closes, and more importantly, you need to understand the psychology behind them. One of the most important closes Grant teaches is the assumptive close. This one is simple and powerful. Instead of asking if the buyer wants to move forward, you act as if the deal is already done. You say, "Let's go ahead and get the paperwork started," or "Would you prefer delivery on Friday or Monday?" It's confident. It signals certainty. And it works because people tend to follow a clear lead, especially when they're still unsure. Then there's the urgency close, which is useful when people are dragging their feet. You don't lie or pressure, but you emphasize that timing matters. You say things like, "Just so you know, pricing may shift next week," or "We're running low on this model and I'd hate for you to miss out." The key here is honesty combined with genuine leadership. You're helping them act before hesitation turns into regret. Another powerful one is the alternate choice close. Instead of asking, "Do you want to buy this today?" which gives the customer a yes or no way out, you ask, "Would you prefer the black or the silver one? Or would you rather start with the basic package or the full plan?" Now the only decision is which option, not whether or not to buy. Grant also teaches the summary close, which is especially effective with logical thinkers. You simply summarize the value you've discussed, then present the close. For example, "So just to recap, this plan saves you $200 a month, gives you access to 24/7 support, and starts immediately. Let's go ahead and get you enrolled." It's clean, confident, and helps the buyer feel reassured about what they're getting. There are dozens more, each designed for different moments. But what matters more than the script is the energy behind it. Closers speak with clarity. They don't sound uncertain. They don't stumble through their words. They deliver the close like a professional delivering a recommendation, because that's exactly what it is. You're not begging. You're leading. And here's something Grant emphasizes again and again: the close is your duty. If you truly believe in your product, your service, or your offer, then you have a responsibility to get the customer to say yes. If you walk away without closing and the customer misses out on something that could help them, it's not just a lost deal. It's a missed opportunity for them. That's why closing is not about pressure, it's about belief. Do you believe in what you're offering enough to insist the customer makes the right decision? Not with force, but with certainty? That's what separates amateurs from professionals. You also have to understand this. Repetition builds confidence. The more you practice these closes, the more natural they become. Grant says you should be role-playing your closes constantly. Rehearse in the mirror. Practice with a colleague. Record yourself. You're not just learning lines, you're building muscle memory for real conversations. And when you've internalized these closes, when they're second nature, you stop fearing the close. You start looking forward to it. Because that's where the deal is made. That's where you win or lose. And if you're serious about sales, that moment should be your favorite part of the job. At this point, you know what separates a closer from everyone else. It's not luck, charm, or fancy scripts. It's mindset, skill, and the ability to take control of the sale when it matters most. But Grant Cardone doesn't just stop at teaching you what to say. He goes deeper into how top closers think, how they prepare, and how they stay sharp day after day. First, let's talk about energy. One of the biggest differences between average salespeople and elite closers is how they show up. Grant is very clear on this. Energy closes deals. If you're low energy, tired, distracted, or unsure, the customer feels it, and it kills the momentum. People want to buy from someone who is confident, positive, and fully engaged. That doesn't mean you have to be loud or over the top. It just means you need to show up with certainty and presence. Closers don't show up hoping things go well. They show up expecting to win. That energy comes from preparation. Grant insists on practicing your closes daily, not just reading them once or twice and winging it. Repetition builds confidence, and confidence builds certainty. When you've said the words 100 times, when you've rehearsed objections and practiced your delivery, it becomes second nature. And when it feels natural to you, it feels trustworthy to the customer. Another trait of top closers is consistency. Anyone can have a good day, but pros bring the same level of focus and fire every single time. They don't rely on mood or motivation. They rely on systems. They know what works and they execute it again and again and again. They track their result. They review what went right and what went wrong. They learn from every deal, win or lose. And they never stop at the first no. Grant reminds you constantly, no is part of the process. Most people don't say yes right away. That's not rejection, it's resistance. And resistance is something you can handle as long as you're committed. The more you follow up, the more confident you stay, and the more solutions you bring, the closer you are to that yes. Grant even says the real money is in the follow-up. If you give up after the first call or meeting, you're leaving deals and income on the table. Closers are also obsessed with result. They don't just want conversations. They want contracts. They don't want to be liked, they want to be trusted. Their mission isn't just to talk, it's to close. That doesn't mean they're pushy or rude. In fact, top closers are usually excellent listeners. But everything they do is intentional. Every question, every pause, every close, it's all done with one outcome in mind: helping the customer make a decision. And here's the final mindset shift Grant drives home: you have a duty to close. If you believe your product or service can help someone, it's your responsibility to help them say yes. Letting them walk away uncertain isn't polite, it's a disservice. Real closers don't push people into decisions. They lead people into better outcomes. And they don't leave until they've done everything in their power to make that happen. If you're in sales, or any field where influence matters, The Closer's Survival Guide is more than a book. It's your playbook. It gives you the words, the psychology, and the fire to go from being a good talker to a true closer. Because in the end, the world doesn't reward those who almost closed. It rewards the ones who finish the deal. So if you want to stand out, build real income, and become the kind of person who gets results, not just responses, this book is your training ground. Use it, practice it, own it, because the future belongs to closers.